Good morning, Damien.
Martin, an interesting report this week regarding a new dimension to Ireland's High Personal Injury Awards. Can you tell us about it, please?
I can. Traditionally, we rely on the police to tell us what the overall motor accident rate in Ireland is. And the breakdown of that rate has between minor, moderate and severe accidents. And the same happens in the UK. But when you switch from police-reported to hospital admission data that are clinically assessed on a comparable basis, applying a uniform scale, it turns out that a much higher percentage of accidents in Ireland are serious, and a lower percentage of accidents in Britain are serious. And I probably should just mention in passing as well that the police data just picks up an estimated 28 or 29% of all accidents. So what I did was that I had a look at the higher percentage of moderate and serious accidents in Ireland and factored in the cost of those accidents. And when you do that, it accounts for most of the difference between personal injury awards in Ireland and personal injury awards in the UK.
Let's try and tease this out, Martin. Are you saying like personal injury awards in Ireland are higher on average than in Britain, not because people are being overcompensated, but because the accidents are more severe?
Correct. The injury awards in Ireland are about 50-55% higher than they are in the UK.
And how can the accidents be more severe here? Like, are we?
Well, if you look at a category of accident again about which there is no dispute whatsoever, fatalities. You can't take a fatality. And the fatality figures for Ireland per million cars registered are about 55% higher than in the UK.
Okay, and what about whiplash injuries and matters such as that?
Whiplash, I kind of avoided whiplash because it's defined differently in different countries. The Personal Injuries Committee report openly acknowledges that the definition of whiplash varies as between one company and another in Ireland. It varies between Ireland and the UK, and it varies over time in the UK. And I think there's probably a systematic source of bias in looking at whiplash in both countries, because in the UK definition of whiplash has to be the significant injury. So most claims involve 2 or 3 different injuries being listed. And for it to qualify as a whiplash claim in the UK, whiplash has to be the most severe of the injuries reported. In Ireland, when data was collected for the Personal Injuries Committee, as best I can tell, the whiplash awards that we're looking at, any award that had a whiplash in it, qualified. So to make it a little bit clearer, supposing you consider somebody who's got a severe back injury and a touch of whiplash, whatever, in the neck. In Britain, that would be called a back injury because the dominant injury is a severe back injury. In Ireland, it could be classified as whiplash.
Yes.
So I kind of suspect that much of the differences between what I find and what are in the Personal Injury Committee report is because I'm looking at personal injuries award, and I'm not applying whiplash in the way that the Personal Injuries Committee report does, because I think we're not comparing like with like.
Now,
being called whiplash for the UK differs from what we're calling whiplash in Ireland.
Yeah. Now, the report that you did was commissioned by the Law Society and the Bar Council, and what would you have to say to, for example, Insurance Ireland, who said the commissioning of the report was an attempt to undermine the work of the Personal Injuries Commission and should be seen as foot-dragging?
No, I think that's just completely wrong. I look at what I've done as expanding and qualifying what was in the Personal Injuries Committee report.
Very good.
Note that, the report says there's awards are higher in Ireland, dispute just how much higher, but it doesn't actually tell you why. The preface to the report by Mr. Justice Kearns says that he's not going to look at why the awards are higher. What I've done is to say, look, awards tend to be higher when injuries are more severe. Let's have a look at clinically assessed data on the severity of accidents in both jurisdictions and see how much of that, what that accounts for. And as best I can figure it out, it accounts for most of the difference between the Irish and differentials.
And do you think there's going to be massive changes in the law regarding insurance over the next 12 months? There's been a lot of stuff in the media the last few weeks and months about this. Do you think we're looking at changes?
I think we are, but I think what we should really be looking at is, I tracked this in my report, that when the number of claims, when accident risk is reduced, accident costs are reduced to the insurance companies and the premiums fall as well. And we seem to have lost sight of the contribution that accident risk and cutting down on accident risk. We have a pretty good track record. The RSA will tell you that fatality rates have fallen and so on, and so they have. But they've been lower to begin with in the United Kingdom, and they've also fallen in the United Kingdom. So if we're comparing ourselves to the UK, we have to try and match the record of road safety. And you know that there's been some fairly serious fatalities in Limerick and a little bit earlier up in Donegal. And, I think what the government should do is focus on getting the accident rate down, particularly for serious injuries, which are very expensive, and obviously for fatalities as well.
Martin Keneally, Senior Lecturer in Economics at UCC, thanks for joining us this morning.
Okay, thank you, Damien.